Day two of AFC North week here at White Widow Sports. Yesterday, Brian, we talked about the Cleveland Browns. Today, we're back talking about the Cincinnati Bengals. How did this team look to you in 2024?
Well, I mean, they pulled off a winning record, just barely in 2024, 9-8, not too bad, kind of just a, flatline season. Um, you know, Joe Burrows does what Joe Burrows does. I think, he's going to be, he is the quarterback. I mean, he is the man. So I think they're going to improve on it a little bit throughout the year. I think they've added a few people and that will help them out. So just spoiler a little bit, I have them coming in second in the division this year.
Yeah. So, looking at their numbers, this is going to be a big disparity. They ranked ninth in offense with 366 yards per game, but their defense was 25th, giving up 348 yards a game. So they're giving up a little bit less than 350. They're putting up a little bit more than 350, and that's a very give and take kind of scenario that you're seeing there, which lends itself to that 9-8 record. And I'll go ahead and tell you, I could see that disparity between offensive and defensive ranks actually widening this year. And I think that's going to be the theme of the video. So jumping right into free agency, they had some big name departures. Obviously, their starting right tackle, Trent Brown, is now a Houston Texan. Alex Kappa was their right guard. He is now a Las Vegas Raider. So the right side of that offensive line is gone. You're going to see different names there. Sam Hubbard retired. He was an edge player for them. Not the biggest loss. He was a somewhat productive piece. You need guys like that on the roster. So obviously that has to be addressed, and they attempted that. And then Sheldon Rankins also went to Houston. He is now a Texan defensive tackle on that defensive front. So you were seeing some battle in the trenches is starting to become a little bit more scary for the Cincinnati Bengals. They did bring some guys back. Nobody worth mentioning. It was all depth pieces only. But they had some big time moves as far as who they extended and brought back. So, kind of starting from the bottom of that list, it's defensive tackle BJ Hill. I talk about Sheldon Rankins going. They did not want to lose the entirety of their interior defensive front, so they bring back BJ Hill. I think that was a pretty friendly deal, so not too bad off of that. Tight end Mike Gesicki, he gets a multi-year deal to come back. He's somebody that I think a lot of people have been wanting replaced. Obviously, the big name there is Kyle Pitts. A lot of people would love to see Kyle Pitts in a Bengals uniform and be added to this offense. I think that Joe Burrow could really do some special things with him, despite not overly targeting tight ends this far into his NFL career. But then the two big ones, it was the guys that run that offense, the guys that make this team what it is. Joe Burrow's 1 and 2 guys, T. Higgins, who a lot of people thought were going to be a number one receiver somewhere else. He gets the bag. He comes back to be the number 2 behind Jamar Chase. And I don't know that this is necessarily a Batman and Robin. This is like Batman and another Batman that might not be as good. But Jamar Chase and T. Higgins as a 1-2 punch is probably the best in the league, and they are getting paid like they are the best 1-2 punch in the league. But the offensive core remains intact. This is the biggest move that Cincinnati could have made this all season, I think, is to shore up those targets and keep Joe Burrow happy, keep the offense humming. I said they were 9th in 2024. They could be top 5 this year out of necessity. But what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I look at Chase and Higgins and instead of Batman and Robin, I look at them as Batman and Superman. So you can in the comments y'all can pick which one's which, but that's kind of my take on it is those are 2 elite receivers, and I don't know that you can say that they're WR1 or WR2. I think you got 2 number ones right there, and it shows, with Burrows. I mean, I think that's what makes Burrows look so good. Is he does have 2 number 1 weapons out on the outside. So, and heaven forbid you put them together. Who are you double teaming?
Well, and I want to clarify real quick. I mean, Jamar Chase is in a lot of conversations, he is the best wide receiver in the NFL. He is the wide receiver 1. He is the first look. But when we say that T. Higgins is also a number one receiver, it does not mean that we think he is as good as Jamar Chase, because
No,
obviously he's not. The only person that might be at this point is Justin Jefferson. And then we might be looking at a Malik Neighbors here in a year or two as being in that conversation. But T. Higgins would be a number one receiver on probably 30 out of 32 NFL teams, and he just happens to be on one of those other two. And that frees him up to be even greater because he's not going to see the coverage that he would on a lot of other teams because of a guy named Jamar Chase lining up on the other side of the offense from him. But I did want to just interject that real quick.
no,
Carry on.
I think you're exactly right, but that's where I was going is they're both number 1 calibers, it's you know, I agree with you, I don't think Higgins is as good as Chase, if I had to say Chase would be the Superman and Higgins would be the Batman, but I do think on if they were split apart on 2 different teams, both of them would be Superman, so, because they are both that number 1 elite
Mm.
wide receivers, so but again, would Higgins be as good if he was getting double teamed, like Chase does? So, but that's not the case. They're both on the Bengals, and you know teams have got to deal with that, and I think it's going to be hard to deal with. Um, Moving over to like draft picks, did they? You talked about their defense being a little down. Did they do anything to help themselves in the with draft day?
Well, I'll say they tried. So I've got a few picks here listed that I think are worth talking about for Cincinnati. And I'm actually going to work my way up from the bottom of the draft. So, sixth round, Taj Brooks, a running back out of Texas Tech. I think he's going to come in and not be the running back two behind Chase Brown from day one. I do think that it's something that he's going to have to build up to supplant some of the guys ahead of him on the depth chart. But I think that if you saw an injury to Chase Brown, Taj Brooks would be the guy that I'd want in the lineup as the, you know, first and second down starter, so to speak. And then, if you take him out for change of pace stuff, okay. I think he is the potential heir apparent to Chase Brown. So I like that pick, especially in the sixth round. Um, in the fourth round, Barrett Carter, linebacker for Clemson. And then jumping up to the second round, Demetrius Knight, a linebacker from South Carolina. I like both of those picks. The linebacker core needed an infusion of talent. They got a flux of that with those two picks. I talked about Alex Kappa now being a Raider. In the third round, they took an offensive guard that you're familiar with, Dylan Fairchild out of Georgia, helped shore up that offensive line a little bit. I think that was a good pick. But there's a reason I waited to talk about the first round pick because as it stands right now, they don't have one on roster. So Shamar Stewart is an edge rusher out of Texas A&M. He was somebody that when you look at his physicals, he is a specimen. If you look at his production, it's not there. A lot of times when you're talking about your first round draft pick, you want production over potential. And Cincinnati went with the potential. They think this guy could be a dominant edge rusher, not necessarily a Myles Garrett level guy, but at least attempting to be a Chase Young or something of that stature.
Yep.
And he does have the tools to be that guy. But right now, he is in the middle of a big time contract dispute. And I'm fully in the Shamar Stewart camp on this one. We talked about on the podcast. I'm not going to ramble too much on it in this video. But basically, there's language that Cincinnati puts in their contracts that say if Shamar Stewart were to get hurt, they would not have to pay him his money or he would have to pay some of it back. No other team utilizes the same language. It's a Cincinnati only thing, but they're at a standstill with it. Cincinnati isn't budging. They don't see that what they're doing is wrong. The NFLPA has actually advised Shamar Stewart not to sign his rookie deal unless they change it. And so the big time edge rusher, the help that they needed, the boost of their defense that is so sorely needed is currently unsigned. He's not going to camp. He's not learning the defense. He's not learning his teammates. He's not getting those reps. This is something that has to be fixed as soon as possible, or it's a very big time loss. And it could even get to a point where Shamar Stewart opts out of this season and rejoins the draft next year and can go to a different team. And normally, when you see that happen, the player gets punished because they're viewed as being a character concern. I think a lot of people are on the side of Shamar Stewart in this instance, and he could join a new team and still be a first round pick and actually be better off for it. So Cincinnati's got to get their act together. So when I talk about that disparity between their offensive and defensive rankings, their defense does not look like it's going to be any better this year. And that has a big time impact on how I predict their 2025 record and season and how it's going to go.
Yeah, 100%. We've all heard it. The ones that have played football, defense wins championships. And, if you're hurting your defense by keeping him off the field and keeping him out of training camp, yeah, you're going to hurt your chances of a championship. Now, I think the Bengals are that team? No, I really don't. I think the Ravens are, but um, yeah, I don't know. I don't understand. I guess because I never played in the NFL, I've never been around those contracts. I don't see why Cincinnati is hesitating on this when no other team does it. And maybe because it kind of screws up other contracts that they have in place with other uh teammates. I don't know. Again, I'm not in that office. I'm not in those meetings, so it's hard for me to say, but why shoot yourself in the foot? If that guy has that kind of potential and you obviously he does because you took him in the first round, what are you doing? Just go ahead and fix that and get on and play football. But that's the business side of this game, and it's the dirty side that nobody wants to really pay attention to, I guess.
But
We want to see them on Sundays. We don't care what happens in between the days.
yeah, it's just like I said, there's a theme to this video. And I think if any Cincinnati Bengals fan shows up in the comment section and disagrees with me on this, they're lying to themselves. I don't think there is a Bengals fan that shouldn't be supremely proud of the offense that's built there. But with the assets that Cincinnati has allocated to building that offense, the amount of money that has been given to Joe Burrow, to Jamar Chase, to T. Higgins, Mike Gesicki, obviously Chase Brown is their running back. They back up a compliment, in Taj Brook. They use a draft pick on him. They have really made this offense something special, and it's going to have to be because if you tell me that you're not worried about how bad this defense is going to be, I think you're delusional. And so when you go into biggest strength and biggest concern, the biggest strength is that offense. It's going to be explosive. It is going to score a lot of points, maybe even the most in the league this season. But their defense is their biggest concern because it's probably going to give up just as many points. And that's what's going to be the difference between their wins and losses. So whereas they finished 9-8 and third in the division last year, I have them finishing 10-7, only one game better, but finishing second in the division. And it's because of that defense. I think that their defense is going to lose them games because of how bad it's going to be. And so it was already a porous defense and it got worse, not better. The offense is going to have to carry them. And it's like, does that first round draft pick, Shamar Stewart, who was so raw, who did not have, a 15 sack season coming out of Texas A&M, was he going to make all the difference in the world as a rookie? Probably not. But was he expected to be a contributor in putting pressure on opposing quarterbacks and keeping the tide of those games in your favor? Absolutely. Because this is an offense that can get out to a big lead if the defense affords them those opportunities. And right now, I just don't know that they will.
Yep, I agree. I'm this one's a hard one to predict. I'm like you. I think they only do better marginally. If at all. I think they're gonna be in that 10, that 9 or 10 win because I think the defense hurts them. We saw it in Atlanta. Several years ago, they went all the way to the Super Bowl and then blew it because of their defense. Um, Yeah, I think you're looking at the same thing. I don't think the Bengals make it to the Super Bowl this year, but I also, think they're gonna lose a lot of games that they shouldn't have lost. And literally you could fix it right now. You know, you could I think that having that edge, you could dramatically change your defense enough to where you don't lose those 2 to 3 games that's gonna keep you out. So again, defense wins championships and you don't have it. So, um,
And that was kind of the thing with them last year. They missed the playoffs even with that winning record. Like I said, they finished third in the division. It came down to like a week 17, week 18 scenario where it's like, hey, we've got to win this game. We need this team to lose this game. And it just didn't fall that way. So they were on the outside looking into the playoffs. And it's like, what would happen if we didn't lose those games early on in the season? What would
Yep.
happen if we weren't worried about how bad our defense is, if we weren't worried about our contracts and stuff like that? So now this offense, everybody's gotten paid. Mike Gesicki's got his money. We talked about Chase and Higgins having their money. Burrow's gotten paid. They are all sitting on fat bank accounts. Now they want to go out and win. They've got everything they could ever need as far as a financial standpoint goes. Although maybe Joe Burrow needs a new house and a new neighborhood, so he'll stop getting robbed. But they need to focus on winning football games, and that's going to be really hard to do this year with as bad as I think their defense is going to be. If you told me their offense was fifth, but their defense was 30th, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think that kind of takes us into our last segment on these videos. As far as who would your fantasy football picks be from Cincinnati? And it's literally any offensive piece because as I've talked throughout this video and throughout this offseason, this entire offense is going to be gold for fantasy out
Yeah.
of necessity. Their defense is going to give up so many points that their offense is going to have to score it in bunches, which means I want Joe Burrow. I want Chase Brown. I definitely want Jamar Chase. A lot of leagues, he's the number one overall pick. He's not making out of the top three in any good league anyway. T. Higgins, fantastic. He could be my wide receiver one on fantasy, and I'm content if he's my wide receiver two or three in fantasy. I'm over the moon because the production that he's going to have, if he's my second receiver on my lineup, he's going to be outscoring most teams wide receiver one in fantasy. And then obviously Mike Gesicki, we talk about the tight end position not having a lot of difference makers. This is somebody that could easily bring in maybe 10 touchdowns this year just because of how many opportunities they're going to have to score touchdowns and the attention that those receivers get. Mike Gesicki could definitely score a double-digit number of touchdowns this year. I want anybody on the Bengals offense. What about you?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And the other thing is I want anybody playing against the Bengals defense, So, because you're going to get a ton of points. I mean, you're just going to rack up scores. Now, I do think you're going to see some unreal scores against, this team, as far as like NFL scores, you're not going to see a lot of, uh 6-3 games here. You're gonna see
Right.
on both sides, both teams are gonna put up a bunch of points. So uh that'll make it fun for fantasy for sure. But I don't think it's gonna be fun for Bengals fans when they're stuck behind the Ravens because the Ravens are gonna be so much better than them.
Well, you
Um
think about a Ravens game. We're going to get two Ravens and Bengals games in the regular
yep.
season, guaranteed. And it's like, literally give me anybody in that game. I want Lamar
Yeah,
Jackson. I want Joe Burrow. I want Jamar Chase. I want Zay Flowers. I want Derrick Henry. Literally anybody that's playing in that game, put them on my lineup. When you start talking about daily fantasy, you start
yeah,
playing like DraftKings and Underdog and stuff like that. Give me anybody in those games. I'll make an entire lineup from just those games because I know that they're going to score that many points. If they play the Eagles, it's going to be the same thing. Give me Saquon, give me Hurts, give me AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goddard. I want anybody on those offenses playing against Cincinnati because they just seem like they're going to be in a shootout every single week. It's like
yeah,
Big 12 football back when Oklahoma and Texas and Texas Tech and all those teams, and they were just scoring 60 points every week.
yeah,
That's what this is going to look like in the NFL, and it's going to be great for fantasy.
yeah. Oh, I agree 100%. Um the only thing is that the only thing I wouldn't take is the Bengals defense if you're playing with in a fantasy that plays defenses. I would stay clear of that for sure because that's gonna cost you a lot. So you may pick up Bijan Robinson as your running back, but his points are going to be negated by how bad Cincinnati's defense is going to be. So
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
you might want to be careful of that. Um,
They are going to
some
be on the waiver wire all year long. They're
Yeah,
not
and
going to get drafted. They're not going to get strained. I would literally, now I don't play in any fantasy league that has defenses. That's just me. I refuse. I actually joined a league this offseason, saw that they played with defenses and kickers, and immediately left the league. I'm just not doing it. but I would rather have a hole in my lineup than to play the Cincinnati Bengals defense, because I know I'm getting 0 points from that hole in my lineup. I don't know that I'm not getting -12 for having Cincinnati's Bengals in my lineup. So I would rather just not start a defense than start Cincinnati's.
Yeah, I agree. And I play in a league there where we play with defensive and kickers, and it presents another challenge. I mean, you really have to be careful of you know, what defense you put in your lineup and who they are playing. It makes you look at all aspects. So I I don't mind playing with defenses because it gives you a little bit of a different feel. But at the same time, I understand where you're coming from, where, you're getting penalized for playing with a defense. So, you know, it's just, I guess, a matter of opinion. Some people like it, some people don't. Again, White Widows will have their own fantasy football. We do have a couple of spots remaining. If you want to jump in, hit one of us up. Chris included. I know he's not in this video, but hit one of the three of us up, and we'll get you put in there. And we really want some fans to play along with us and enjoy that experience like we do. So just wanted to throw it out. We haven't really mentioned it in any of the previous videos, but I think it's a good way to end off on this one. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think the Bengals are gonna do. We don't mind taking shots. If you think we're completely wrong, let us know. If you're right there with us, let us know. So again, we'll go ahead and end the Bengals. Good luck to them this year, and we'll continue on with the next team.